My last post may have seemed to some probably a little overwhelming. I get really excited about deciding when and how to share the gospel. I'm far from perfect on it. Far from perfect on it. But I get really excited about it. Oh. When I decide to jump into a new venture, I will generally jump into it all in. But there's more to it than that. Anyway, so I just got a message from my boss that I thought was something that needed to be discussed in the world. And it's one of those where I'm not sure how to approach it. But one of those, but he texts me and says that one of the employees where I work is freaked out and I need to keep my religious views to myself from now on. There's a time and a place to discuss religious things, and work's not one of them. Now, I am a contract security officer, so I don't directly work for any company. Except for the company that contracts me out to the different sites. And I do not go about discussing my religious views with the employees of the sites that I'm contracted at. I have discussed my religious views with my coworkers. Never the employees of the site that I directly work at. Because I don't work for the same company as them, and thereby there's always the chance that I get transferred because somebody says something that they don't like, which is the worst part about this world. So I avoid actually speaking to the employees of the companies that I work at. But what he said and how he said it is what I'd like to discuss. That there's a time and a place, and work is not one of them. There is always a time and a place for everything. But if religious views are going to come up in a discussion, if they are going to come up while you're talking to one of your coworkers, then that becomes the time and the place. It is perfectly acceptable to discuss with your coworkers faith and religious views and conversation, so long as your coworkers are the ones that help move the conversation along, that brings up those views and those belief systems. If one person mildly asks, "Hey, do you mind me asking what faith you are?" and the other coworker goes, "No, I'm this faith," and nothing else comes up, then that's all there is to that. But if the conversation moves forward from there into beliefs and separate sects, then absolutely work is the time and the place to share the gospel or to discuss it. Now, if a person overhears two people having a conversation about religious beliefs and believes that they are afraid of what somebody else is saying, then that person needs to understand that that conversation doesn't involve them, belong to them, or even concern them, and they have no right or place or statement to make where they can say that they are offended by that conversation. If they are not involved in any way and it does not hurt them in any way, then they need to remain out of it. If it's a conversation that is overheard, then it's a conversation that's overheard and nothing more. As long as the conversation does not involve threats to people's lives, homes, or livelihoods, a conversation is considered innocent. It is not okay for a person to tell another person what they can and can't believe and what they can and can't discuss with a coworker. That is out of line and out of place. There's this thing that people have forgotten how to practice, and that is the right to being religiously free. My religious beliefs, as those who've watched my previous post know, I'm LDS. I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Those beliefs state that everyone is a loving child of heaven. More specifically, a child of God. And that we are all capable of becoming more perfect. Ugh. I never once will ever say that I am perfect, but I'm trying. But I will never tell someone where and when they can discuss what they believe. because I respect other people's faiths. People have the right to believe as, where, and how they may. And that is all there is to it. I'm not going to tell someone that if I hear two Catholics in the hall at work, I'm not going to say, you can't be discussing your faith. I don't believe that and it scares me. Or, I'm an atheist. I don't believe what you say. So it scares me. You can't talk about that while at work. People have gotten too comfortable with the idea, thought, or position that there are things that are taboo at work. Nothing is taboo at work. And it is not okay for others to treat people badly just because they don't believe the same way you do. And that's the whole idea. Is there's no such thing as separation of church and state. There's no such thing as separation of work and religion. My religion affects how I work. My religion affects who I am at a core. My religion is not a part of my life. My religion is my life. And if someone can't accept that, then they can't accept me. And that's prejudice. And that's not okay. But I'm not going to stop them from making that judgment. But at the same time, I'm not going to stop doing what I do. If my faith comes up at work and the conversation I have with my coworkers happens to involve faith, well, then it happens to involve faith. And that's all there is. And I cannot accept that other people are... I cannot accept someone into my life to be someone I care to talk to if they are offended merely because I'm talking about my faith to someone else. And I know that it wasn't anyone that I specifically spoke to, because there are only a few people that I speak to. And that's how this works, is no one is scared by religion. It's not religion scary. It's the idea that someone might be in a place that someone else is not. That's scary. So just because you're in a religious place that is not as advanced as somebody else, or just because you believe something other than what somebody else believes, does not give you the right to take away their right to discuss their faith and belief with people who are asking. And that's all there is to it. Kindness and love is all that this world needs. And unfortunately, there's never, ever going to be enough of it. Just accept people for who they are. And if you overhear somebody else talking about their faith to someone else, leave it alone. Don't go complaining to your boss or to their boss. Leave it alone. It's not your place to interfere, to step in, or talk.